Hey guys, so before I start this video, I have no affiliation with University of Oregon. I just have this shirt. People ask me this all the time, and I just want to get that out of the way before I film this video. So, what I actually want to talk about is talking to non-musicians about what you do. Something that all of us have to deal with, whether you're in music school or you're out of music school or you're just trying to go into music school. Justifying or talking about being a professional musician is something that we all have to think about because it's not seen as a legitimate thing right now. And it's kind of seen as you have to be the best of the best of the best to make it. And that's not true. And having more people know how to talk about it and talk about it eloquently and rationally means that there's more people who can accept that professional musicians aren't just these superstars that we see, and especially with everything going on where some of these superstars are falling because people are stepping forward with sexual harassment allegations or just calling them out for what they are, we need to be supportive of the people who are legitimately good musicians and good people and are doing what we want to do. Those of you who've been on this channel for a while know I have a video, it was actually the first video on this channel, about talking about rationalizing being a music major to people who don't think that you should be. And this links in, but this is more being prepared to talk about what you do so that people can figure out what you do. And it's not this like weird mystery thing that professional musicians are just there and no one knows what they do. And this is framed around the fact that I've currently had to explain what I do to people a lot. And I wasn't really prepared with that until I had to sit down and think about it. So, the first thing that I really think is important is you frame yourself as a professional musician first. A lot of us, especially directly out of school, have other jobs. You work in retail, I'm a certified pharmacy tech, and it's something that I do to pay my bills so that I can focus on the music stuff. And I frame myself as I am a professional flutist and I do this, this, and this, and then currently I work in pharmacy to pay my bills because I can't guarantee that I have enough work during the year to pay all of my bills. This is something that's been really important to me because I found that if I lead with a pharmacy job, they focus on that, which makes sense. They focus on the thing that I lead with. So if I lead with the musician part, they're going to focus on that and see the pharmacy tech job as something that I use to support myself so that I can establish my career. And that's something that I'm very, very open about, is that yes, I do like my job as a pharmacy tech and I find it very engaging and interesting, but it's not something I want to do for the rest of my life. It's not the end all be all of my career, and right now it's a means to an end, and that's how I present it. Whether or not you have another job that can be seen as a full-time job or as something that you do for a living apart from music, it's important to frame yourself as a musician first. That just means that that is what you are, and it doesn't give people the opening to label you as something else. The other thing is I have answers ready to go for most of the basic questions that I get asked. Oh, so you play in an orchestra? And then I say, no, I don't really want to play in an orchestra. I'm a freelancer, and then I explain what that is. Oh, so what do you do as a freelancer if I lead with the freelance part? Oh, so what kind of jobs do you do? Do you play with ensembles? I always have an answer set for the ones that I know I'm gonna have. And quite honestly, most people ask the same three questions, which are, oh, so what does a freelancer do? Do you play in an orchestra? And oh, do you play in ensembles around the city? And I always have an answer set for that based on what I'm doing at the time. I also lead with, oh, so I'm playing this show here and I'm playing with this ensemble and I'm working on this and I have all these YouTube projects. So it helps that I have answers ready to go so that I'm not thinking, oh, well, if you're confident and have answers set up, it means that they can't question what you're doing because you're saying it with confidence and you're saying it with conviction, and that's what they're listening for. Most people who talk about their jobs know exactly what their jobs are, and they can talk about them in an interesting and rational way, and that's something that we have to be able to do as well. It's something that's harder because a lot of us have more complicated career paths because music isn't necessarily a straightforward path, but it's something that you're talking about. And the last thing that I always do is I talk about my plans for the future, what I want to be doing, what I'm doing to get towards that, so they can see what the trajectory is and kind of an idea of what I do as a musician. And that's harder for those of you who are younger or are still trying to figure it out, but just having an idea of where you want to end up, and that can change, and that doesn't have to, you don't have to stick to that, but just having an idea in your head so that when people ask, it's there. Being prepared to answer questions about our field is really the most important thing when you're talking to anyone. I get asked by other musicians all the time what I want to do, because what I do is so unusual to them, because I'm a contemporary specialist, and that's not necessarily something that people always think about. It's something that I think we need to talk about more, non-traditional career paths, not going the orchestra route if you don't want to, and not necessarily joining a chamber ensemble if that's not what you want to. It's something that is totally viable and is totally possible, and it's a more difficult path in some ways, but it can also be a little bit easier because you are the impulse and you are the thing driving it, and it's not relying on as many other people. In terms of establishing your career, you're always going to have to rely on other people because our field is collaborative, and I've talked about that a lot. But I think basically my best advice is think about the questions people are going to be asking you and prepare answers for them, and then they can't question what you say because you say it with confidence. It's the same way when you go into a job interview or when you're doing a thesis defense or any kind of thing where you're defending what you do to people. You are supposed to come in prepared. And unfortunately, talking about being a professional musician in our culture and in our world, especially as a freelancer, is a defense. And if we're more open about it and if we are seen more as more legitimate, maybe that'll change. But as it stands right now, it's kind of the truth. So if you like this video, please give it a like. If you're new here, subscribe. If you want to support me more, check out my Patreon. I will see you guys on Thursday. And on Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time at Slate Arts and Performance, I will link all of the information in the description. We're going to be performing the first concert from the Untwelve Calls for Scores. We're really excited about it. There will be a live stream here, as well as obviously the live concert. So we're hoping to see some of you guys there and on the live stream. And please let me know if you want any more information about that.